Mr. Kerry will testify before the House Foreign Affairs Committee about this nuke deal. Many of the committee members have been openly skeptical of this 6-month interim agreement, including committee chairman Congressman Ed Royce, a Republican from California who joins us live. Congressman, welcome.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right, so you have the hearing on Tuesday. Secretary Kerry comes before you to talk about the deal. What are your biggest questions for him at this point?
Well, I think some of our questions focus on the fact that Rouhani yesterday, the president of Iran yesterday, in front of a bunch of students, many of them yelling "Death to America," he was in the process of explaining to them that the centrifuges would never stop spinning. And several days before that, we had the foreign minister from Iran giving a speech in which he said that the plutonium bomb making factory they're going to continue construction on it. And as we understand the agreement, they were supposed to halt that construction. So already we have an attitude on the part of the Iranians which indicate that they're rushing forward. And then you have a story that broke yesterday about continued enrichment of a new generation of centrifuges, supersonic centrifuges that spin much faster than the old ones, and how the Iranians intend to continue to manufacture these. So I think we've got some very real questions on why we'd want to weaken sanctions at this point rather than strengthen them and get an actual deal that stops the centrifuges from spinning.
Okay, I want to get your reaction to a couple of things President Obama has said. First of all, he says he puts the chance of success at 50-50 for this deal, and also says if it turns out that we can't make a deal by the end of the 6 months, he says we are no worse off than we were without this agreement. Your response?
Well, sanctions are largely psychological, not just legal. So one of the things that is happening is that oil companies, gas companies are all approaching Iran right now. And frankly, the amount of sanctions relief that they're getting on gold sanctions, petrochemicals, shipping, and other ancillary sanctions that are relieved, we think that's going to give them a boost for their economy. And for that, we do not get an agreement in which the centrifuges stop spinning. So from our standpoint in Congress, we passed my legislation along with Elliot Engels out with a vote of 400 to 20 recently, in which our position was to increase sanctions until we get the kind of agreement that we need. Give the Ayatollah a choice, in other words, between economic implosion or true compromise on his nuclear weapons program. We don't see the compromise at this point, especially with the comments being made by the foreign minister and President Rouhani this week.
He does say, that the economy is improving there. Things are boosted and better, clearly feeling that this has been a good deal for the Iranian people, or at least for Iranian leadership. Now, today, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not long ago spoke as part of the Saban Forum, and he talked about the fact that history will be altered if Iran gets nuclear weapons. And he also said history is going to judge all of us, American leaders, Israeli leaders, and others, by how they handle this very delicate situation. Do you think we're on the right or wrong path as far as history is going to view this?
History will judge us. If you'll recall, some years ago, Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate decided that an apartheid regime in South Africa combined with a nuclear weapons state, South Africa had developed nuclear weapons, was unacceptable. And so sanctions were passed, and those sanctions were deployed on the government in South Africa. South African leaders said it was unthinkable to hold out, so they agreed to go to a democratic system of government to end apartheid and to give up their nuclear weapon. Those are the types of sanctions that should be imposed today on the regime in Iran and give them that actual choice. That would be something that would benefit the people of Iran, because if the Ayatollah would agree to an agreement like that, then you could have fair and free elections in that country in which people could pick their own leaders rather than the Ayatollah picking the 6 candidates that are going to run. And I will share this. The latest Gallup polling that I saw showed that 2/3 of the people in Iran wanted a Western-style democracy without a theocracy. So why not give the people there a choice? But to do that, we have to have the kind of resolve that members of Congress had years ago when they put those sanctions on South Africa.
Well, we will watch that hearing very closely on Tuesday. Mr. Chairman, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.